Have you ever wondered why so many older people folks who seemed healthy just a few years ago never make it past 82? I'm not talking about those who battled cancer or suffered a massive heart attack. I mean the ones who looked fine. They walked every morning, took their meds, ate their vegetables. Maybe they even went to church every Sunday, but somehow they just faded out. It's one of those questions we don't ask until it's too late. And by then, we're standing at a memorial, shaking our heads, saying, "He seemed all right last time I saw him." Here's the truth. In the United States, most people don't live long past 82. Especially not with clarity of mind and strength in their body. That age is like an invisible wall. Some people quietly slip past it, but most don't. And the strange thing is, no one's talking about why. It's not always the big, dramatic causes that take people. More often, it's something quieter, something slower, a kind of fading from the inside out. Let me tell you a story. Arthur was 79 when I met him, retired firefighter from Indiana, tall guy, still had strong hands, used to chop his own firewood until just a few years back, married 52 years. When his wife, Mary Ann, passed away, something in him went dark. At first, he said he was fine, just tired, said he was adjusting, but the life started draining out of him. Not in a way you'd notice overnight, but like a slow leak in a tire. One month, he stopped going to his weekly poker games. The next, he didn't feel like driving anymore. By year's end, he barely left the house. There wasn't a single disease that got him. His heart still beat. His labs were decent. But Arthur was slipping mentally, emotionally, physically, and everyone missed the signs. He wasn't dying from something. He was dying from nothing, from disconnection. See, what no one told Arthur, and what no one tells most older folks, is that the real danger after 70 isn't just illness. It's what happens when we stop feeling alive, when we stop engaging with the things that keep us human. And I don't mean hobbies or crossword puzzles. I'm talking about something more primal, something deeper, the connection to your own body, the ability to feel touch, warmth, breath, energy. Most older people slowly lose that without even realizing it. And when that part goes, the rest follows. Energy drops, sleep breaks, muscles weaken, the mind clouds over. Arthur didn't need another prescription. He needed a way back into himself. But no one told him that. Not his doctor, not his kids, not the church bulletin. Everyone focused on keeping him stable. No one asked if he still felt alive, so he drifted. And by the time anyone noticed how far gone he was, he couldn't come back. That's why I'm talking to you right now. Because you don't have to follow that same path. There is a reason many elderly people don't live past 82. And it's not just because of what's on their death certificate. It's what happens in the years before when they lose touch with the parts of themselves that actually want to keep living. So, if you're in your 60s, 70s, or early 80s, and you've started feeling a little more numb, more tired, less connected to your own body, I want you to stay with me, because the next few minutes could change everything you think you know about growing older, not with hype, not with false hope, but with truth, and a quiet power you still carry inside you. We're going to talk about something that most people avoid, something that might feel uncomfortable at first, but could be the most important key to your health, your memory, and your independence after 70. This isn't about adding years to your life. It's about adding life to your years. So let's begin. If you've made it this far into the video, I want to hear from you. Type the number 1 in the comments if you're still watching and this message is speaking to you. If there's something you'd like us to improve, type 0. Your feedback truly helps us do better. And remember, if you stay to the end, I'll show you a practical, private method you can start using tonight to help reignite what you thought was lost. Let's keep going. Number 1, losing connection to the body, the overlooked cause. When Arthur stopped going to his poker nights, everyone thought he was just grieving. And he was, but grief wasn't the whole story. Something deeper was happening, something that no one, not even his doctor, was paying attention to. He was losing connection to his own body. Now, I know that might sound vague. What does losing connection really mean? Let me put it this way. There's a difference between existing in your body and feeling alive in it. You wake up in the morning, your heart is beating. You can still walk to the kitchen, pour your coffee, sit in your chair. That's existence. But do you feel anything? Do you notice the warmth of the cup in your hands? Do you feel your feet touching the floor? Do you notice the soft stretch in your back when you reach for something for Arthur? That awareness, the sense of aliveness in the body was gone. And once it left, everything else started slipping too. He wasn't dying from heart disease or cancer. Those are the things that make it onto death certificates. But what killed Arthur started long before that. It began the moment he stopped feeling in his body. This is the danger that no one talks about, especially for men over 70, because we're taught to push through, to be tough, to dismiss the little things. But that numbness, that dull, creeping disconnection, it's not harmless. It's deadly. Here's why. Biologically, the human body runs on sensation. When you stop using parts of your body, when you stop stimulating the nerves, the skin, the blood vessels, those systems begin to deteriorate. Your circulation slows down. Your hormone levels drop, especially testosterone and dopamine, the very chemicals that support muscle mass, motivation, mood, and even memory. Your brain literally gets less blood flow. You might not feel it right away, but over time, your reflexes dull, your sleep gets lighter, you forget more often, your energy dips, even after a full night of rest, and emotionally, you feel less, you care less, you lose the desire to do things you used to love, not because the hobbies are gone, but because you are slipping further from yourself. That's what happened to Arthur. He didn't feel the urge to go outside because the sun didn't register the way it used to. The warmth on his skin wasn't satisfying anymore. He didn't notice when his legs grew stiff because he'd stopped noticing sensation altogether. Even food tasted dull, and sex long gone, not because he couldn't perform, but because he no longer felt connected to his desire. It's like the lights were still on in the house, but no one was home. We often think of aging as a physical decline, but in truth, it's often a sensory decline, a loss of internal feedback between body and brain, a collapse of awareness. And here's the kicker, that decline is not inevitable. It happens because we stop engaging with the body in ways that keep us alive. We stop touching, stretching, stimulating, breathing deeply. We stop seeking out pleasure, not just sexual pleasure, but the simple joy of movement, of skin against sheets, of water on the back of the neck, of warm hands in cold mornings. When we ignore the body starts to shut down, and the shutdown is slow, quiet, and deadly. Now think about that. We have medications for blood pressure. We have surgeries for failing joints. We have therapists for grief and depression. But almost no one is talking to seniors about how to reconnect with their own physical experience. That's the missing piece. And it's critical because the body isn't just a machine. It's an ecosystem powered by attention, sensation, and connection. Without regular stimulation, that system weakens. And when it weakens, life gets smaller. Arthur used to say, "I feel like I'm disappearing." And he was right. He was disappearing from himself, not because he was broken, but because he was neglected by the people around him and by his own belief that those parts of life, touch, movement, breath, pleasure, were behind him. They weren't. He just needed someone to remind him they still mattered, that he still mattered, but no one did. And by the time he lost the ability to walk without a cane, to dress himself, to enjoy a meal, it was too late. So I'm telling you now because it's not too late for you. You may feel stiff, tired, less interested in the world than you used to be, but that doesn't mean your life is over. It might just mean you've been living disconnected from the one place where life begins and ends your body. And you can change that, not with drugs, not with therapy, but with awareness, with breath, with simple, gentle touch, with curiosity, with the courage to feel again. The moment you start engaging with your body, tuning in, not tuning out, you trigger systems that have been asleep for years. Blood starts to flow more freely. Your brain lights up in new places. Your emotions rise, sometimes unexpectedly but honestly. And best of all, you start to want to live again, not just survive, but live. That's what Arthur never got, and that's what I want for you. So, if you're still here with me, listening, ask yourself something. When was the last time I really felt at home in my body? If you can't remember, that's okay, because we're just getting started. In the next section, I'll show you how something as simple and as private as gentle, mindful self-touch can start to restore that connection, even if it's been decades. But for now, just sit with this truth. Your body isn't dead. It's waiting, and all it takes to wake it up is you. Number 2, the misunderstanding that killed pleasure in older adults. Arthur once told me something I'll never forget. We were sitting on his porch, the sun just starting to set behind the trees, and he looked out across the yard and said, "I think that part of me is just done now." I asked what he meant. "You know," he said, almost embarrassed. "That part, touch, pleasure, feeling close to someone. It's for the young, not for someone like me." He was 80. And he truly believed that his time for feeling had expired like milk, past the date on the carton. It's one of the most heartbreaking lies older people have been told. And worse, it's one that many repeat to themselves, quietly, every day. "I'm too old for that. I don't have a partner anymore. So what's the point? My body doesn't work like it used to." And so they stop. They stop touching. They stop exploring. They stop even thinking about pleasure as something that belongs to them. But here's the truth. Pleasure isn't reserved for the young. It's not something that turns off with age. In fact, your need for touch, intimacy, and connection doesn't lessen. As you grow older, it simply changes shape. And if you abandon it, you don't just give up on a feeling, you give up on a piece of your vitality. Arthur had fallen for a myth that's killed the spark in too many lives. He believed that intimacy was only valid if it was shared with someone else. And without his wife, he didn't see the point. But connection doesn't end when someone leaves your life, and pleasure isn't something you do for someone else. It's something you give yourself permission to feel. Think about a garden. You've nurtured it for decades. It bloomed beautifully in the spring times of your younger years. Maybe you shared it with someone, walked the rows hand in hand, picked flowers together, watched the bees and butterflies dance in the sun. Then, one day, you close the gate, you lock it, not because the garden died, but because someone else isn't there to see it anymore. The flowers are still growing. The wind still moves through the leaves, but you stop entering. You tell yourself it no longer matters. That's what happens to your sense of touch, your sexuality, your connection to your own pleasure. The garden never left you. You left the garden. And the saddest part, you're the one who needs it most now. Not in the same way you did at 20 or 40, but in a deeper, more essential way. To feel human, to feel whole. You see, pleasure in older age is not about performance. It's about presence. It's not about what your body can or can't do. It's about what it still wants to feel. But if no one tells you this, you start to believe what society whispers. That's inappropriate. You're past your prime. You should just focus on staying alive. As if being alive and feeling alive are the same thing. They're not. I've seen it again and again. Women in their 70s, men in their 80s, who light up visibly after reconnecting with simple physical pleasure. Their posture changes. Their voice softens. They start laughing again. Why? Because they unlocked a door they thought had rusted shut. Let's go back to Arthur. One day, during a check-in, he quietly asked me, "Do you think it's weird if I, try to feel something again even without someone else?" I told him the truth. "No, Arthur, I think it would be weird not to." And then I told him this: you don't need anyone's permission to feel joy. You don't need anyone's presence to be present in your own skin. You still have that right, that need, that garden. He didn't say much that day, just nodded. A few weeks later, he told me he started taking a warm bath every Sunday night, said he put on soft music, lit a candle, and just let himself feel. No goal, no pressure, just presence. That first time, he said, it felt like I'd come home to myself. I didn't even know how much I missed. Me. That's what this is about. You don't need to chase after youth. You don't need to impress or perform or prove anything. But you do need to stop locking the door to your own experience. Pleasure is not shameful. It's not selfish. It's human. And when you deny it, you deny a part of your health. Science backs this up. Sensual touch, yes. Even self-touch activates neural pathways that keep your brain sharp, your mood stable, and your immune system strong, regular. Gentle pleasure helps maintain hormonal balance, circulation, and emotional resilience. But beyond the biology, it's about dignity, about remembering that your body is still yours, that you're still allowed to feel good, that life is not over just because certain people are gone, or certain muscles don't work the same way. You are still here, and you are still worthy of everything that made life beautiful when you were 30, 50, 70. And now, so if you've locked up your garden, if you've been telling yourself you're too old, too alone, too broken, stop, turn the key, open the gate, walk back in, feel the grass under your feet, breathe in the air, touch the petals. You are still alive, and you deserve to feel that. Number 3, the trap of physical isolation. Arthur didn't realize how far he'd drifted from himself until he forgot where he left his coffee. It sounds small, right? But it wasn't just once. It became a pattern. He'd find the mug in the bathroom, the garage, one time, the refrigerator. His doctor said it was age-related forgetfulness, but Arthur knew better. Something else was off, something deeper. He wasn't just losing track of objects, he was losing track of himself. And it wasn't because of some disease, it was because he'd stopped feeling his body. You see, most people think physical isolation means being stuck at home, not going out, not seeing people. But for seniors, it can go even deeper. It's when you stop touching, stop moving, stop connecting with your skin, your breath, your senses. That's when the body begins to go quiet. And when the body goes quiet, the systems that depend on sensation circulation, hormones, brain activity, even bone density start to collapse. It's no coincidence that many older adults experience a decline in memory, mobility, and mood at the same time. They're all connected. When your body stops being stimulated through gentle touch, movement, pleasure, or even warm water, blood flow slows down. That affects your brain. Less blood to the brain means reduced oxygen, weaker focus, poorer memory, slower reaction time. Meanwhile, your bones suffer too. Lack of physical engagement contributes to bone loss, especially in the hips and spine. That's how you end up with seniors who move less and then can't move at all. And then there's the emotional toll. When Arthur stopped interacting with his body, when he stopped caring for it, touching it, listening to it, his mood plummeted. He slept poorly, felt irritable, avoided people. His world shrank to the size of his living room. That's what physical isolation does. It doesn't just make you feel alone. It tells your body and brain to shut down. But the moment Arthur started reconnecting with himself, even in the simplest way, things began to change. It started with a routine his granddaughter helped him create. Nothing intense, just 10 minutes each night before bed. He called it reset time. He'd sit in a quiet room, dim the lights, breathe slowly, and gently touch his legs, his arms, his hands, not sexually, just consciously, with presence, like saying hello to a part of himself he hadn't visited in years. After a week, his sleep improved. He didn't need his sleeping pills every night. After 2 weeks, he noticed fewer dizzy spells in the morning. By the end of the month, he told me something I hadn't heard from him in a year. My head feels clearer. He was remembering things again, phone numbers, names, stories from his youth. He felt steadier on his feet, and he smiled more. That's not magic. It's biology, reconnecting with the body through touch, breath. Movement stimulates the vagus nerve, improves circulation, reactivates the hippocampus, and boosts serotonin. You don't need a partner. You don't need fancy equipment. You don't need permission. You just need to come home to your own body. Arthur did, and it changed everything. He still had aches, still had tough days, but he wasn't fading anymore. He was feeling, and that difference, that's what kept him going past 82. So if you're listening to this and thinking, that sounds like me, don't wait. Physical isolation is sneaky. It looks like comfort, but it robs you of your strength, your memory, and your joy. Don't let your body become a stranger. You're still in there, and your body is still listening. It's just waiting for you to say something. Number 4, what no one tells you. Masturbation. After 60 is medicine. If I told you that just 10 minutes a week could help you sleep better, sharpen your memory, and make you feel more alive, would you believe me? Most people wouldn't, especially not someone like Arthur. When he first heard the word masturbation in a health talk at the senior center, he almost got up and left. That's for teenagers, he muttered, not for people with back pain and blood pressure meds. But something in him stayed seated, and something in that talk stayed with him. Later that night, he asked himself, why not me? Why not now? Here's the truth. Nobody tells older adults. Masturbation isn't a leftover from your youth. It's a form of maintenance, a way to keep your body and brain working, like changing the oil in your car. It's not about fantasy or shame. It's about physiology. When you stimulate your body, even just lightly, even just for a few minutes, you trigger a chain reaction of health benefits. Your brain releases endorphins, the feel-good chemicals that ease pain, calm anxiety, and help you sleep. Your body produces a natural bump in testosterone, yes, even at 70 or 80, which helps preserve muscle mass, bone density, and mental focus. Your pelvic muscles activate, improving circulation and supporting bladder health. And most importantly, you feel something again. That's not small. Arthur told me that the first time he tried alone, quietly, with no pressure to perform, he didn't even finish. But afterward, he slept through the night. And the next morning, for the first time in months, he woke up with energy. His back still ached. His joints still popped. But inside, he felt connected. Masturbation, for him, became less about sex and more about sensation, reminding his body and mind that they still belong to each other. Over time, he noticed more, sharper memory, fewer restless nights, even a return of his appetite for food, for movement, for life. The science backs him up. Studies show that regular sexual stimulation solo or partnered activates parts of the brain linked to memory, emotional regulation, and decision-making. It boosts immune function and slows cognitive decline, and yet, almost no one talks about it after 60. Why? Because we've been taught that pleasure is a luxury, or worse, a sin, once we pass a certain age. But it's not a luxury. It's not inappropriate. It's a form of health care. So, if you've been feeling numb, tired, or disconnected, don't ignore it. And don't let shame decide for you. You don't need a prescription. You don't need permission. You just need 10 quiet minutes. This is not about indulgence. It's about investment in your sleep, your strength, your mind, and your spirit. And like Arthur discovered, the sooner you start, the more you'll realize you never should have stopped. If this part of the message speaks to you, type the number 1 in the comments. If you feel unsure or uncomfortable and want to hear more before deciding, type 0. We're here to talk honestly and support each other without judgment. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and turn on the bell, because what's coming next could help you turn that quiet spark back into lasting energy. Number 5. The 3-step method to reconnect with your body. By now, you understand that staying connected to your body isn't a luxury, it's survival. But for many people, especially older adults who've spent years disconnected from their physical selves, it's hard to know where to begin. So, let me give you a clear, simple roadmap. No gimmicks. No fluff. Just 3 practical steps you can start today in the privacy of your own home. This is the method I shared with Arthur, and it's the same one that's helped countless others not only feel better physically, but reclaim a part of themselves they thought was gone for good. Let's begin. Step 1. Create a safe and comfortable environment. Everything starts with the space you're in. You don't need candles or music, though those help. What you do need is a sense of privacy, warmth, and comfort. This tells your nervous system it's safe to relax now. Choose a time when you won't be interrupted. Turn off your phone, close the door, dim the lights. You want to send your brain the message that this moment is for you. Find a place to sit or lie down that supports your body: a bed, a favorite chair, even a blanket on the floor. Make sure the room is warm. Cold shuts the body down. Warmth invites it to soften. According to the Cleveland Clinic, ambient warmth helps activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for rest, digestion, and healing. That matters because your body won't reconnect until it knows it's safe. Step 2. Begin with breath and gentle touch. Now that the space is set, shift your attention inward. Start with your breath, not shallow chest breathing, deep belly breathing. In through the nose for 4 counts, hold, out through the mouth for 6 counts. Do this 5 or 6 times. Why? Because deep breathing lowers cortisol, the stress hormone, and increases vagal tone, which improves emotional regulation and lowers inflammation throughout the body. This is backed by multiple studies, including research from Harvard Medical School. Once you feel your heart rate slowing, bring your hands to your body. Start with neutral areas: your arms, your shoulders, your chest, your legs. Touch slowly, gently. No goal, no judgment. Use your palms, not your fingertips. Let warmth and contact be the point, not stimulation. You're not trying to achieve anything. You're trying to reawaken the communication between your brain and your skin. The skin is your largest sensory organ, and as you age, nerve sensitivity can dull, not because it's broken, but because it hasn't been used. This kind of mindful touch reactivates dormant pathways and promotes neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and rebuild connections. Step 3. Respect your body's pace. Let connection be enough. This part is where most people struggle. We're trained by decades of culture to think physical touch should lead somewhere, to a climax, to performance, to results. Forget all of that. You are not performing. You are not fixing. You are simply noticing. Ask yourself, what part of me needs attention today? Maybe your stomach, your back, your thighs. Let your hands go there with kindness. And if something stirs emotion, memory, arousal, let it. Don't chase it. Don't judge it. If nothing stirs, that's okay too. You're still doing the work. Even a faint awareness, a flicker of sensation, a sigh, a small shiver means your nervous system is re-engaging. That's a win. That's healing. Arthur once told me, the first few times I felt nothing, but I kept showing up. And then one day, it was like my body tapped me on the shoulder and said, there you are. I've been waiting. See? This is what reconnecting looks like. Not fireworks, not performance, just presence. And presence is what brings the body back to life. Studies show that regular mindful touch improves sleep, reduces anxiety, strengthens immune response, and even enhances memory by supporting hippocampal activity. So don't underestimate this. You're not pampering yourself. You're restoring what time and culture tried to take away. Your body hasn't given up on you. It's waiting for you to come back home. And this, right here, is the way. Number 6, breaking through. The shame barrier. Of all the obstacles Arthur faced in reclaiming his body, the hardest one wasn't physical. It was internal. Shame. He didn't talk about it right away. At first, he blamed his age, said he was just past all that. But underneath the excuses was something deeper, a quiet guilt that had been growing for decades. He was embarrassed to touch his own body, embarrassed to want pleasure, and terrified of what it meant to seek it out alone. Arthur had spent most of his life believing that physical touch, especially sexual touch, needed to involve someone else, a partner, a purpose, a reason beyond himself. Without Marianne, he felt like he no longer had permission, and the first few times he tried the 3-step method, something strange happened, not in his body, but in his chest, a tightness, a sting behind the eyes. Old beliefs were surfacing. Is this wrong? Am I pathetic? Does this mean I'm desperate? He wasn't alone in that. Millions of older adults, especially those raised in religious or conservative homes, carry silent messages about pleasure, that it's selfish, that it's shameful, that it's not age appropriate. But here's the truth. You are not doing anything wrong by caring for your body, touching your body, connecting to sensation, breathing life back into your skin. That is not shameful. That is survival. That is healing. That is your way of saying, I'm still here. I still matter. I'm still alive. Arthur eventually found a way to quiet those voices. He started writing every morning. After his breathing and self-touch ritual, he opened a notebook and jotted down what he felt, not what he should feel, but what was true in that moment. I feel awkward today. I feel curious. I feel warm. Some days, it was just one word. Present. Other days, he poured out memories of youth, of longing, of grief, of joy. The act of writing gave his experience shape. It made the invisible visible. It gave dignity to what he was rediscovering. And over time, something began to shift. His shoulders relaxed. His walk straightened. The light returned to his eyes. After 3 months, the change was undeniable. He moved with more ease. He laughed more easily. And the man who once whispered, "Is this okay now?" looked me in the eye and said, "I've never known myself like this before." That's the power of breaking through shame. It doesn't happen all at once, but it happens. And when it does, the reward is profound, because you're no longer just surviving, you're reclaiming. Number 7, don't just exist, choose to live. If you've made it this far, let me leave you with one final truth. Most people don't die all at once. They die gradually, not from disease or injury, but from disconnection, from slowly stepping away from their own lives, from their own bodies, from the things that make them feel human. And the saddest part, they don't even realize it's happening. One day, they stop laughing. Then, they stop moving. Then, they stop touching. And then, before anyone notices, they stop wanting anything at all. Don't let that be your story. Don't let the end come early, not because of a diagnosis, but because you stopped feeling. Don't let death creep in through the cracks of numbness and silence. You deserve more than that. You deserve to live fully, richly, deeply, even now, especially now. Your age does not erase your right to feel joy. Your wrinkles don't disqualify you from pleasure. Your solitude does not make you unworthy of connection to yourself, to your breath, to your body. So tonight, I want to offer you a simple invitation. No one has to know. No one needs to be there. You don't need permission. Just find a quiet place, take a deep breath, put your hand on your chest, and remind yourself I'm still here. Because the moment you say that, everything changes. Your skin will remember, your breath will slow, your spirit will rise just a little, and that little spark, that's life. My friend, that's what we're trying to keep burning. So don't wait for someone to give it to you. Give it to yourself. Tonight, 10 minutes, no pressure, just presence, not to perform, not to fix, just to feel. And if you do, if you choose to come back to your body, even for a moment, you've already won, because you're not just existing anymore. You're living. Don't let death come slowly, not because of illness, but because you stopped feeling. If you can still sense even a flicker of warmth in your body, then start tonight. No partner, no audience, just you and a body that still remembers how to feel. If this message speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. If you're unsure, type 0. But promise me this, don't walk away from yourself without trying. And if you haven't already hit subscribe, turn on notifications and join us again, because this journey isn't over. You still have life to write. Let's do it together.